And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha from right above Bryant Park here in New York City. I don't know if that's been shared with you before, but it's great. It's got a skating rink, it's got a bar, ping pong tables, everything. It's like being in Rick's backyard, but
you've been to my
different.
house, huh?
Yeah, except for the ping pong table, it's slightly different. The climate change debate has yet to cool down. See how I did that? Both sides continue to point to undeniable proof that either the planet is getting warmer or it just ain't. Now, a British journalist is questioning the method used by scientists to calculate the Earth's climate change, calling it, quote, one of the greatest scientific scandals of all time. Now, Christopher Booker, he writes for Britain's The Telegraph, says that climate data from stations in South America, Antarctica, have been adjusted since the 1950s to give the impression that the Earth's temperature is rising more than original data showed. In fact, data recorded by 3 weather stations in South America found all had their initial raw readings adjusted to show lower temperatures in the 1950s and higher temperatures today. Why is this important? Because scientists use this data to project changes overall around the globe. If this is true, Rick, is this a game changer?
Might be. The problem is, just like the whole vaccination question, why the you know what, are politicians making these decisions for us instead of scientists? I read the article. I thought it was fascinating data. I've been reading data for years on both sides. I don't know if there's a fix-in. You know what I do know? Scientists have to be able to go off, reach a conclusion if possible, and the politicians need to stay out of it until we have a better idea of what's really been going on.
Jenny, you were furiously writing something down.
Well, you know, I'm just thinking, is this a South American conspiracy from the 1950s? And did you notice how the weather stations up here got Snowmageddon like completely wrong? You know, I'm just not sure how much this really affects things, but what I do know is that Nixon implemented the EPA in 1970 for a very good reason. And that was because we were seeing that, you know, car emissions and carbon emissions and pollution, we needed to start working on a solution. We really needed to take into consideration what we were doing to our resources and to our environment. And we still need to do that. No matter what the extreme ends of the argument say, it's still important for our children.
You know
and
what
grandchildren.
I do for fun on the weekends now that I have a kid and I don't
I'm not
go
sure
out
we
as
really
much
want
as
to
I,
know.
besides the other thing I was
Sure, it's
telling you about
appropriate
before.
family show.
Now, I go back and read certain periodicals from the 80s and the 70s and telling us by now in 2015 we should all be dead if we live in New York City because everything was supposed to melt and Manhattan was supposed to be underwater.
But
and
we've taken
you know what?
measures.
we haven't taken enough to
Listen,
prevent the whole island from sinking.
The horse is out of the barn. People care. And I don't care what you call it. Maybe it's not global warming, maybe it's just pollution. But if you read the New York Times article today, for Hispanics, this is a major issue. 54% are either extremely or very concerned
Why do you
about.
think it affects Hispanics?
Well, according to the article, they're more affected because they're more affected by the hurricanes. They're more affected because many of them live off the land in many ways, and so they're more affected. But they have a deep caring about this. So whether it's a bunch of BS or not, it really doesn't matter anymore. Now what matters is what can we do, if you're talking about 2016, to bring those people so that they're interested.
And to carry that forward a bit, you know, I've never been sure. I don't like the people who have made it into a religion, global warming. I also don't like people who have taken this strong stand against it, knowing that my grandchildren, your grandchildren, may be severely affected by it. So you know what? Could it hurt? Will it kill anybody to just be careful?
Yeah.
I understand when you raise any cost to the economy of significance, yes, we should be very careful about accepting science that we don't know is real.
That's right.
But is it going to kill us to be careful?
Yep.
In case we're right.
And the thing is we don't know what the impact of our new technologies are going to be. We do know that the southern global areas of our world have serious resource shortages. You know, the northern hemisphere is basically taking a lot of the resources from there. Well, you know, there's a lot to consider around this whole issue of climate care.
I think the politicalization, though, it may be the problem because, again, when you are adjusting, you're adjusting data to fit an argument. That's something that I found disturbing.
But who is doing
words.
that?
It's those words, global warming. If you change it to pollution, I don't think anyone has a problem anymore. And really, that's what we're talking about here. It's just the words that are being used.
Over the next 2 decades, the EPA's rules to fight global warming will cost the economy $2.23 not million, not billion, $1 trillion. It will raise energy prices and lower families' incomes and reduce jobs by 600,000, according to the Heritage Foundation, which last I heard is conservative. So it is, Rick, you talked before, better safe than sorry, but
Yeah.
that is a big price tag. We only have 40 seconds.
And it's absolutely fair to keep it in mind. I think when people who are big believers in global warming pretend that's not a factor, they're wrong. You do have to keep it in mind. You have to balance the equities, and that's the only way you can deal with a problem like this. But get the science first.
Yeah. And we have to start thinking outside the box and use these ideas of ways to improve it to make money. So there's got to be something, solar power, wind power, I don't know, but
Right.
find a way
Green
to
energy
finance
is a
it.
good thing, regardless.
Not everybody agrees.
Not everybody agrees. There's a solar, I'll have to get that name come to me when it comes back. Anyway, coming up next, it's time for Political Potluck. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV.